Welcome to the What is Stoicism podcast.
When we're going through a tough time, it can be difficult to open up. We often feel afraid to share what's really on our minds because we don't want others to judge us, pity us, or misunderstand us. Instead, we choose silence. But that silence leaves us stranded. We start to feel isolated in our struggle, as if no one could possibly understand, or worse, that we must prove our strength by working through every challenge in solitude. Yet what's worth remembering is that even the people closest to us cannot always sense when we need help, especially if we work so hard to conceal it. And so the cycle of loneliness and quiet suffering continues. To break that cycle, we need courage. Courage doesn't only mean charging forward into battle or standing boldly against injustice. Sometimes courage is far quieter, far more personal. It's the willingness to be vulnerable even when we fear the consequences of doing so. Asking for help, though it feels like weakness, is actually one of the strongest things we can do. Ryan Holiday in Courage is Calling offers examples that show how vulnerability can ripple outward into something greater. Quote, "When the student asks a question, what happens? They learn something they didn't know. When the friend reveals a vulnerability to another, what happens? The friendship gets stronger. When the employee admits the workload is too much, what happens? A hire is made and the company gets more efficient. When somebody has the courage to speak about something shameful that was done to them, society is propelled into action. Someone can help them stop it." End quote. Even Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world during his reign, reminded himself in his meditations, there is no shame in being helped. If the Emperor of Rome leaned on others at times, why should we feel embarrassed to do the same? It's not weakness to admit we're struggling. It's not weakness to ask for a helping hand, a moment of reassurance, or even professional guidance. As Holiday puts it, it's an act of bravery. Quote, "It's okay to need a minute. It's okay to need a helping hand. To need reassurance, a favour, forgiveness, whatever. Need therapy? Go. Need to start over? Okay. Need to steady yourself on someone's shoulder? Of course. You won't get any of this if you don't ask. You won't get what you're afraid to admit you need. So ask now, right now, while you have the courage, before it's too late. We're in this mission together. We're comrades. Ask for help. It's not just brave, it's the right thing to do." End quote. But this idea of asking for help doesn't exist in isolation. It intertwines with another essential virtue, justice, which in Stoic terms manifests in empathy, kindness, compassion, honesty, and connection. Seneca described the purpose of philosophy as giving us fellow feeling with all. In other words, sympathy and sociability. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable enough to ask for help, we also invite others into the practice of empathy. We create opportunities for kindness. We strengthen the invisible bonds that make us not just individuals, but part of a greater human family. Practicing this kind of fellow feeling is like expanding the boundaries of that family to include everyone we encounter. The writer Kurt Vonnegut expressed this sentiment with his usual humour when addressing a class of graduates. Quote, "The most sensible and constructive thought we can hold on this day is that we are not members of different generations. We are so close together in time that we should think of ourselves as brothers and sisters. Whenever my children complain about the planet to me, I say, 'Shut up, I just got here myself.'" End quote. The Stoics saw themselves not merely as citizens of one nation or city, but as citizens of the world. This cosmopolitan perspective demanded responsibility, not just toward family or friends, but toward strangers as well. And while responsibility may sound heavy, caring for others often lightens our own burdens. In fact, it makes us happier. Seth Godin summarized this in an interview with James Altucher. Quote, "We smile at a stranger even though we might feel like running away, because we know that smiling at a stranger makes it more likely that we'll have an engagement with them that moves things forward. Is that inauthentic? Is that manipulative? No. It's the work of being in a civilized society. End quote. When we adopt a consistent pattern of connection, when we reach out for help and also extend our hand to others, doors open, life softens, trust grows, and perhaps more importantly, we feel fulfilled. Happiness follows naturally when we choose to contribute to the happiness of others. As the 19th century orator Robert G. Ingersoll once said, "The time to be happy is now, the place to be happy is here, and the way to be happy is to make others so." So maybe the real courage is twofold. First, to admit that we need help, because in doing so we honour our shared humanity, rather than pretending to be islands of self-sufficiency. Second, to extend that same openness outward, to meet others with empathy, kindness and care. Both acts take bravery. Both acts strengthen the invisible threads of our collective well-being. When we live in this way, we build not only resilience for ourselves, but also a world where courage and compassion circulate freely, where no one has to face their struggles alone.